and gentlemen, welcome to Azeroth Daily for the 13th of May 2011. My name is TotalBiscuit, bringing you your daily dose of WoW news and comment. In the headlines today, the latest round of hotfixes has come out, including some bug fixes, which mean that on moving platforms you should no longer fall to your death when you've been resurrected due to the position of the actual resurrector. And also, there's been a change to Kilnara in Zul'Gurub, whereby you can no longer carry over the credit for the Here Kitty Kitty achievement. You might remember I mentioned that on a previous achievement hog. That can no longer be done, so you have to do everything in one fight. You can't just keep doing it week after week. It will not carry over. You can check out the full list of the hotfixes in the description below this video. The free preview for the remote guild, chat, and auction house has now ended, which means that you will have to pay for this service. I actually tried out this service yesterday, or at least I tried to try it out, because I wanted to at least give you a little bit of an impression of whether or not it offered something valuable. Unfortunately, I discovered that on my Android HTC phone, the HTC Desire, that I was unable to accept the terms of service because neither of the browsers that I had installed would allow me to scroll the message. So that seems like something they might need to fix. It's a little tricky to sign up for the remote app via your mobile phone if you cannot accept the terms of service. So it's a little annoying, but whatever the case, that trial period has now ended, so you will now have to pay a monthly fee to use that service. An article has come out over on the EU Battle.net site, which has got some useful information about finding a team for the Arena Pass tournament realms. I would recommend giving it a read if you're still wanting to register for this particular tournament realm, and I have been invited by Blizzard to come and check it out, so I might do some Arena stuff in future. Don't expect high quality by any stretch, but I'm thinking I Suck at Arena might be reasonable, considering I've barely ever PvP'd in my 6-year WoW career. MMO Champion has posted some interesting screenshots, and this is on the subject of the Molten Giants. The Molten Giants, oh yes, those old Molten Giants have finally gotten a makeover, and you can check out all of the models on MMO Champion, and of course in the background to this particular video. Nice looking things, although they've done the impossible. They've managed to make them look even uglier, because that's what advancing technology allows you to do. And with that, it's time for your Daily Blues. Zahim posts on the subject of the Tier 12 set bonuses that ended up getting data mined and posted by MMO Champion. He points out that these set bonuses are still very much in development, and they are subject to assessment as well as complete and total change, and has posted a list of new set bonuses, some of which do of course change the way that the original set bonuses worked. Bear in mind, once again, these are all subject to change, and they may very well do so on the PTR, so please go and contribute to the discussion, and of course get involved in the PTR testing so that you can help patch 4.2 be even better. Cruiser raises some concerns about Holy Paladin healing in 4.2 after the nerfs. It's a fairly lengthy and worthwhile post by the looks of it, and a response does come into this from Zahim, and he points out that they did in fact increase Paladin mana costs because Paladins were too good at healing. In this case, actually too efficient. Paladins were sitting at 40% of their mana in raid encounters, while other healers were simply flat out of mana. That is the bottom line of the rationale behind these changes, and you can read them in full over on the forums, and the link is of course in the description below this video, or alternatively you can just pause the video and you can read it that way. But this thread for the most part is pretty much worthwhile, with some exceptions, as most class balance threads have the tendency to be, unfortunately. I think people get too emotionally invested in their specific class, and as such have a little bit of difficulty discussing and describing it objectively. This one comes in from Zipso, and this is on the subject of the 4.2 Conquest Change. Now, this is a fairly recent change, and what's going to be happening is that there's going to be different point caps for battlegrounds and arenas. That's, of course, rated battlegrounds for earning conquest points, and the cap for arena rating will always be 2/3 of the cap for battleground rating at any given arena rating. Now, you can earn more than the cap by doing both, but once you've reached a cap for either arenas or battlegrounds, they can't earn any more conquest points that week. Zipzo is asking for a thorough explanation on this, and I actually have to agree, that's bizarre. Why would this be the case? I don't know, it seems to me that they're punishing arena players for not doing rated battlegrounds, and to me those are two different kinds of PvP. Some people just want to do battlegrounds. I like battlegrounds, for instance. I don't like arenas, but I do like battlegrounds. I prefer the larger scale fights. That's cool, as opposed to the individual skill fests. Maybe that's just because I suck, but whatever the case, I enjoy battlegrounds, but I don't enjoy arenas. I don't really see why an arena player, however, should be forced to also then go into Battlegrounds in order to stay competitive and earn as many points as possible. It's the same reason why I don't believe that Raiders should be forced to go into 5-mans to earn the cap. The response comes in from Zahim once again. It says, many of you are interpreting this change as to encourage more participation in rated Battlegrounds, and this is apparently true, and they see the fact that participating in arenas is by far the superior way of obtaining top-notch PvP gear in terms of time investment as a problem. To me, that just shows how broken the PvP system actually is, particularly with rated Battlegrounds. If you are having to go into arenas in order to get gear for rated Battlegrounds when you don't really want to do arena play, that's a problem. But it's also the case vice versa. Why would you want to go into rated Battlegrounds if you're purely an arena player? That doesn't make any sense. I think there are very, very serious problems that need to be addressed, and all that Blizzard is currently doing is applying band-aids to these weeping cancerous wounds that happen to be in the PvP system. Something needs to be done. I don't know enough about PvP to say what, but it's absolutely absurd to me that players should be forced to go into one kind of content that they don't enjoy in order to earn the gear they need to compete properly in the other. Battlegrounds and arenas should be kept separate for the most part. I would like to refer back to an idea that I had back in TBC as regards to changing the way that arenas actually worked, and that's the idea of making the arena system a series of leagues that actually issue you effectively a uniform at the start of the season, depending on what league you happen to be in, and you can upgrade your gear when you go up in leagues, but that the arena fights are between players with the exact same gear, so that it simply comes down to skill. And if you want variance in gear and a more disorganized kind of game, then Battlegrounds are a better bet. That would be my opinion on it, as a non-PvPer. That's the thing. So I don't know what you PvPers think about this. Personally, I don't like the look of this change at all. I hate the idea of forcing players into content they don't want to go into in order to compete in the content they do. So if you have an opinion, please, by all means, feel free to leave it in the comments section below. And with that, it's time for your daily grind. This excellent quest comes further down the Burning Steps JJ Kishin line, in which you are asked to make strategic cuts, and by that we mean assassinate various members of the BlackRock, but make them all look like accidents, which is pretty cool. You don't have to do all that many special things in order to make that happen, but I just like the idea that you're not just simply killing them, and you do this by stabbing them with a knife, which causes them to become paralyzed. So in the case of the Warg Mistress, she ends up getting eaten by her own wargs. In the case of the Troll, he ends up falling to his death, and in the case of the Ogre, he trips and falls into the lava. So I like that. That's a good little bit of variety over the usual kill quest. And with that, it's time for your weekly feature. This is the postcards from Azeroth. Now, it was a nice and simple photography contest this week involving taking the best possible view that you can and avoiding as much as possible the ugly view distance fog. So, I'm going to kick it off right here with one from Jaden Strauss, and this is the Throne of the Elements in the Grand, and yes, it is a very beautiful area. In fact, that entire zone is absolutely fantastic in terms of its looks. And I also like the fact that, in this case, you do have a little bit of a mountain range in the background that you can see in the distance, which is actually fogged out, but doesn't look bad. It's the angle that he's taking it at there, as if he'd gone for a different angle, for instance, he'd have probably seen a lot of ugly purple fog. It wouldn't have looked so great, so this is a great shot. Big fan of that one. This one comes in from Justin A. Longo, who's also managed to do the same, only this case, it's with the Dark Portal, and he says that so many people tend to forget that the Dark Portal has two sides, both of which can be very beautiful in their own way. Yes, even with all of the destruction that's ended up going on the other side, in the Blasted Lands. It's a very, very nice shot there, particularly like the lightning that's being caught in, so good stuff. This one comes in from Breckner Catalin, and this is Area 52, which is not what a lot of people would consider to be a particularly attractive shot, but I think in this case, what you've got is the fact that the fog is pretty much like always ugly-ish, purpley brown stuff. In this case, it makes sense because it actually looks like the area is covered in a haze of fog because, hey, it's Netherstorm. Netherstorm is actually purple and foggy, so you could get away with that. So that's a very nice shot there. This one comes in from Isaiah Wilkinson, and this is, of course, Dalaran from the air, and it does point out that this is one of the prettiest-looking cities they've come up with. It's really, really awesome. So that's a great shot there. There's a little bit of fog in the background over towards Crystal Pine, but once again, it doesn't look bad in this shot. That's what I like about it. Whereas fog can often be a big distraction within the game, and the view distance is an immersion killer. In this case, the fog actually adds to the overall mood of the shot. This one comes in from Nicholas Bennett that provides us a great shot of Silithus with the sun going down in the background. And in this case, what you've got is a situation where, yes, you still have the foggy view distance stuff, however, it's on the mountains, which the sun is actually behind. So you've got the mountains silhouetted against the sun, which works really, really well. So I'm a fan of that. That's very cool. This one comes in from James Atskull, who brings us Thunderbluff, and of course a wonderful example of the new lighting effects. It is an amazing shot, and I do love Thunderbluff as a city. The architecture is fantastic. This one comes in from Rice Williams, and this is the sun-touched pillar in Sholazar Basin. Don't go into the light, and this is in fact a view from the top of it, which is a very unique shot. This one comes in from Babesia Octavian, which I'm sure is probably not his real name, but whatever the case, what a fantastic shot of the Isle of Quelder Nass. Oh, it is good. It is very, very good. Look at that. Yeah, that's absolutely stunning stuff. This one comes in from Fair Martini. This is in Oldham, and something wicked this way comes. This is when Deathwing's approaching, folks, and the sky has turned red as blood and fire. Oh, yes. Great shot there. Oldham is really hard to get a bad shot of. It's just such an amazing zone. This one comes in from Jessica Schreiber, and this was flying over Iceground towards the tournament grounds one night, and she just loved the way that it looked with the moon and the clouds. Yeah. Absolutely, and once again, you can get away with the fog in the background because it's dark, so that's entirely reasonable. I do like the look of that, and of course, you do get some great sky domes over in Northrend. Now, this one I'm going to give an honourable mention to. It was edited in post, but I like it anyway. This one comes in from Tobias Sadel, and this is Sulfuron Spire using HDR effects, and that does look pretty damn awesome. I'm a big fan of that one, and a great view, and of course a fantastic piece of architecture within the game. And the winner, ladies and gentlemen, has got to go to Mr. Mark Furbert, who came up with this, the Stormwind Lighthouse. And that's the kind of fog I like to see. That is a really great shot. I like the effects that he's used there. I believe he's dipped himself below the waterline, as far as I can tell, to have a look at that one. I don't know what he's done, but it does look absolutely stunning. So there you go. Congratulations, you win the time card. And we'll have a new subject for the postcards from Azeroth at the start of next week's shows. And with that, it's time for the mailbox. This one comes in from Will, who says, "Hey TB, I've been playing WoW since the start of Cataclysm with a lot of help from my guildies and real-life friends. When I hit 85, I was helped a lot with gear and now sit at item level 356. I'm ashamed to say that I'm still wearing some PvP epics, but it's the best gear that I can get for certain slots these days. Everyone is asking for achievements to get into raids now. Although my guild might be huge, they don't have a raid team going, and every time I try and pug a raid, I'm told that I'm underexperienced and need to get some achievements. This is really hard since I have no raiding experience, since I haven't been playing for that long. But I have looked every fight up on YouTube more times than I can count, so is it fair that people demand achievements and don't give people the chance to have a go and take the time out to show them the ropes? I'm not asking for people to sit through a raid wiping 30 times because I keep stuffing up a bit, but I'm just wondering what your stance is on people and players with achievements and raiding. I mean, people have to start raiding from somewhere. Yeah, they do, and the thing is they usually start their raiding from the guild. What doesn't make a lot of sense to me is that you said that you've got a very large guild, but it doesn't have a raiding division. Well, why don't you make one? I mean, surely there must be 10 people within your guild that actually want to do some raiding. You can throw something together that way. And for instance, our guild's fairly large. We have quite a few raiding divisions that raid all kinds of times. And that simply requires the initiative of a single person to set it up. Now, unless your guild is opposed to having any kind of raiding team, in which case you probably shouldn't be in it, because that sounds like a very bad guild, then I don't see why you can't just get one set up, or talk to your friends within the guild and say, hey, look, I would really like to get raiding. Is there any way that we can set up something here? As regards to achievements and things like that, pugs have the choice to reject people for any reason. It's as simple as that. I oppose anything which restricts the choice of the players as to who they are going to play with. That is the choice of the people in question. It is a private group. They have the right to accept or reject anyone for any reason. Now, yes, I think it's kind of ridiculous that you require absurdly high item level and achievements to go through content that is blatantly not as hard as people are claiming that it is. But I understand why people do it, and I can't fault them for doing so, because it is their choice as individuals and groups. To me, it seems like you need to stop considering pugging and really start working towards putting together a raiding team within your guild. There's gotta be 9 other people. I mean, come on, seriously. There must be. If you've got a large guild, hell, you can have a 15-man guild and still find 9 other people in it to raid with. So I would suggest that you pursue that. with a more rigorous fervor. This one comes in from Semel Parler that says, I don't know why, but lately I've been feeling a bit bored with WoW. I've been doing a lot of thinking on the matter, and I've come to the conclusion that it might just be because there's nothing left to explore. When I first started WoW in 2006, there was a lot of stuff to explore. I didn't know a lot about the game apart from the crazy stories my friend told me, and I distinctly remember a moment in Red Ridge where I accidentally ran into the Burning Steppes, and would have died from those pesky imps if I didn't have my trusty bubble. When the first expansion came out, I was equally amazed at all the crazy views, and I just had a feeling that there was so much wonderful content that I still had to play through. Nowadays, however, when I'm not raiding, I'm sitting around in Stormwind on my Drake waiting for a BGQ or a Heroic or for Tolbarad to pop up. My question to you is this: what would you do to combat the problem that the world seems dead and stale? That instead of going out and seeing it, players everywhere are just sitting around in Orgrimmar and Stormwind. Well, I would have thought that a system like Path of the Titans would have helped there, but since we have no idea what that was actually really going to entail and they scrapped it, because it sounds like Blizzard didn't either, then you need a more dynamic world. Right now you have a very static world. There is no point in an 85 going out into the world, because what is he going to find? Nothing of value. Archaeology, I suppose, was designed around that, but the thing is, once you've completed archaeology, there's really not a huge point in developing it any further. I mean, obviously you can try and go after those rare items, like that staff, for instance, that no one seems to get, but still, you're not really getting out in the world because there's no reason to. If you've got all the money you could possibly need, you don't need to go out gathering, you don't need to go out farming and things like that, and of course it's easy enough to get into dungeons simply by using the random dungeon finder, battlegrounds as well. To me, it seems like they should take a page out of Rift's book. Now, Rift is a game that does have dynamic world events, including towns being taken over and raid rifts appearing in all sorts of different places and invasions and stuff like that. If that kind of thing was in the game, then people would have a reason to go outside the cities again. The fact is that there is nothing of the sort. There are no random events, there are no random quests, and stuff like the rare mobs are just too few and far between to really bother with. So I think that that's certainly got something to do with it. I think that bringing world bosses back in a fairly major way would certainly help, because that encourages people to keep checking various areas. And what I'd also say is make them a little bit random. Make them spawn in random places so that people couldn't just leave alts lying around in those areas just to check on them. They have to actually travel the world searching for them. And they could give gear that is appropriate to that to encourage people to get involved. Things like random quests as well. I made an example, actually, of Red Dead Redemption back in the day, whereby you can be riding around in Red Dead Redemption and you can come across random quests and things that you can help or hinder with, and that discourages you from using fast travel. And I think that's something that would definitely be valuable in the game as well. It's an awful lot more things, but it comes down to that one simple principle: the world must be alive for people to care about it. The fact that it is not means that people will not care. Okay, folks, that's me done for the week. My name is TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for watching the show. I have to apologize for not airing a show yesterday. I was traveling for a lot of the day, and by the time I did get back in, I was too tired to do it. So my apologies there. And I will see you on Monday with yet more Azeroth Daily content. I'll be looking into more PTR content, but unfortunately the PTR's been very broken lately, and it's been very hard to release anything of worth. So here's hoping they get everything sorted out. Have a safe and wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time.